Welcome everyone to one of those videos here, die Zerstörung der EU, the destruction of EU, US and stuff. Today we got this letter actually the other day, but it wasn't delivered in, again, registered mail. Only today we picked it up at the post office. So this is genuine mail today at exact code, and this is the stuff that you need to deal with as a business owner. And why also I'm getting increasingly frustrated, right? So this is so wrong, this is so disgusting and so wrong on so many levels that I wanted to quickly share this, similar to Louis Rossmann's and stuff. So what is it? So it looks, if it's not fake, maybe it's fake or a scam, but it looks to me, studying Italy, right? Italian, what you do every day. It looks to me like the Italian tax authorities fine us for paying taxes since 2015 here. I hope I reducted everything else away. I also didn't really find a date on this. So the excuse, a photo, so my assistant in Berlin there sent me that. It's like, yeah, I couldn't yet use the scanner of our exact scan, but yeah, I used the shabby iPhone. Anyway, so excuse the crappy photo quality. I didn't see a date on this, although maybe it is somewhere on some border that isn't on the photo. But so here they somehow want, also this might be the later page, here Q1 2015 to Exaco GmbH, they're in Berlin, Centro Operativo de Pescara or whatever, in San Via Rio Sparto. And so what we did, so we actually freaking paid taxes, right? So we get a penalty for paying VAT in freaking Italy, right? So the way this worked, and also initially when we started the company because we electronically deliver licenses and software and stuff. So initially, like 2006 or so when we started, we could all pay all those VAT in Germany. So we sold to Italy and we paid VAT in Germany due to that work. And only later, because the big mega corporations evaded all their taxes to Cayman Island and Bermuda Triangle and stuff, the EU decided, not so fast with us. So with electronic goods like App Store and Amazon Books and YouTube and stuff, you now pay VAT in the countries where you sell, right? And of course, the big mega corporations, they still evade all the taxes and stuff. And it's like a VAT, who cares? So this mostly the big corporations like are not affected at all. But this was a monumental bureaucratic bullshit for all the small companies, right? We had to change our accounting, we had to change our invoices, accounting, all the processing to adapt, because previously all of our direct software sales were VAT in Germany, 19% probably for years. And we don't even care so much about the VAT, right? It is a bureaucratic monstrosity it takes to file this. So the only simplification is this, well, we had to account all of this, obviously. And the only simplification for small and medium small businesses like ours is some mini one-stop shop procedure where instead, because normally you would have register at all the government tax authorities in theoretically the world, right? I think the US wants to copy the same shit. Theoretically, maybe some US states also would want VAT for software sales like that in some US states. Complete. Also, yeah, I mean, who even freaking cares, right? This is the like Louis Rossmann and others said, and like even Louis Rossmann shipping stuff overseas, like EU and stuff, like totally destroying business, right? So instead that we need to register at all those, how many members do we have since Brexit? I lost overview, 28-ish or whatever, 27, 26, who cares, freaking states, tear down the freaking walls. So instead that we need to register 26 times on 26 freaking different websites with 26 different tax numbers. The only simplification is using some mini one-stop shop procedure where we would report this in some stupid XML table in Germany, or like if you're an Italian company in Italy. So we reported this at the central tax authority in Germany, right? And we freaking did so, right? And so we did the right thing, the right complex thing of paying, like unless other orange previous presidents who allegedly didn't pay much taxes. So we did the right thing, right? Probably paid more taxes than many others. And we reported this. And for years we heard nothing, right? So we report 2015, 2016, 2017. Eventually they changed the law, like recently, maybe 2020 or so. So recently, a year or so ago, or two, they changed this so that the threshold is higher. So I think because we are not selling that much to end users, since then we are below some 10,000 of euro VAT, whatever threshold. So actually we stopped this some year ago. But for some years, 3 years or 4 years, we paid this tax through this procedure. So we heard nothing, right? You think you're doing the right thing and you transfer money to Italy. And then nearly 7 years later, this penalty comes out of nowhere, right? We never heard of them. So this is so wrong on so many levels. First of all, why did you not tell us 7 freaking years ago that we do something wrong? And I don't even know what we have done wrong. So the second thing is, why do you send us illegible Italian bullshit that I now need to Google translate all of this, hire an Italian lawyer, or ask someone who hires some Italian speaking? I mean, so I don't expect to get this shit in German, right? I mean, I actually start to forget German, right? I speak 90+% of my life English. So do most people. With international business, why can they not have the dignity to send this in English so that people can actually read this? Also, maybe that is intentional, so that they send this so that people don't even have a freaking idea what's going on. I'm pretty sure maybe there is some payment missing, but we paid everything, right? So maybe there is some system hiccup that maybe quarter one, 15, I don't know, maybe we reported this late, but 7 years later, so I have no idea what's wrong. Maybe we just reported this late because we paid everything, right? And also we paid to the Central German Tax Authority, and they distribute this allegedly, hopefully, to all the European members. So maybe, I don't know. So also initially we didn't know that we need to probably report this until the 28th. In Germany, we need to report the taxes until the 10th of the following month. So apparently, I think we eventually noticed that we should have reported this always maybe a little bit earlier. And so the other thing is, I mean, first of all, the next thing that is entirely wrong with this shit is to fine us over 6 years. So this is 11/5/2015. We have today, what is even the date? The 8th December 2021. You fine us over nearly 7 years, over 6.5 years or so. Over 6.5 years later, you fine us for maybe, I mean, also the irony, right? To fine us 6.5 years later for some reporting maybe something, maybe 13 days late, which also at that time this procedure was new, right? We could not, and also, this is also the next thing that in general is wrong with governments all over the world, right? Always this fines. In my opinion, the first thing should have been, back in the day, to write us a nice letter. Hey, thank you very much for using this service and paying us IVA or VAT. We would like to remind you, yes, we understand the service is new and complicated, but we would really like to remind you to report this shit until the 28th and not until the 11th or whatever. And also in general, I find this really bullshit that to not have that many dates. I mean, small companies need some days to account and process all this shit. And also, why is this date? I mean, sure, maybe the tax deadlines certainly in all the 26 plus or so member states are different. But for us, it's also, we have one date to work with the German government, like the 10th of the following month, or if you are a small business, you can apply for 1 month delay. So that would be the 10th of not the next, but the following month. And then there is another 28, right? Why is it not the same date on where you need to report all the other stuff? But anyway, technicalities. So what is wrong with this is over 6 years later, a freaking penalty. Seriously, are you for reporting something maybe late? And by the way, we are a small company. We are selling some software, but we are not selling millions to Italy every quarter. So the crazy thing is, the fine is not yet that high. So you could say I make a lot of fuss about not much, but it is out of principle, right? For me, out of principle, it's not about some 150 or so, 125 euros. So I'm not sure if I'm understanding that correct, that the fine might be 125 euro. I don't speak Italian, I copy and pasted some stuff. However, if maybe we reported all months, all quarters late, so then that might actually add up to 5 years multiplied by 4 quarters, so, or 4 years, 4 quarters, so 16. So then we are talking already thousands of euro. If now, maybe, I don't know, do they now send us every quarter, 6 years later, a penalty? Seriously? And the next thing, as I already mentioned, this stuff really should not be in Italian, right? If you send stuff to international companies, again, I don't expect German, and it's also ironic that the British left the EU and all the amazing achievements like penalties, and that I'm advocating to have a general language of English would have been previously the common denominator there of that. But yeah, and also if you want to fight this, also now you can call people in Italy who probably only speak Italian, or even if I had this so often in my times, people who of course could speak English, but refuse to speak English, right? I have this so often, you call somewhere, like in Italy, and they don't even want to help foreigners, right? And this is not even another color of your emoji, but I had this so often, people refusing to speak, and I'm not even wanting to speak German with them, but I had this really often. So yeah, I don't even have hopes to discuss it with them. So I could just pay the 125. So why do I discuss this, right? For me, this is, and this I have this since I opened the company, right? Each quarter there is some bullshit. So I'm not making this out of nowhere, and I made previous videos. This is reoccurring, right? This is reoccurring systematically penalty for small and medium-sized business who have to deal with this shit. Actually, if I ask a lawyer who needs to speak Italian, and each time I ask my tax advisor, and I have already a better tax advisor because my local tax advisor in Germany, in Berlin, which I tried some initially 2005, all of them could not cope with my international business. Even when I started the company, the first years of starting my company, each tax advisor made more mistakes than I myself, and we had to correct each tax report to the government each month because they booked our international business as German and other bullshit like that. Now we have a better tax advisor, not in Berlin, because we needed a better one. But even this better one, who has some other international business, each time I ask them something, they don't know. I mean, maybe they intentionally don't know, because each time I ask them, they, oh, that is a good question, we can research that for you. It's like, yeah, I mean, Googling internet search, I can research myself, right? I mean, not saying that the only internet search, but I mean, if you have already your 5th tax advisor who finally has somewhat a clue, and each time you ask them, they need to research it, well, sure, I have such non-standard stuff like fines from Italy, because who gets freaking tax fines from Italy? And so yeah, 6 years late, this is wrong, right? 6 years late for reporting, maybe, what was it, 11, so maybe 13 days late, or I don't know what even the issue is they have. Also, I don't understand here is minimum euro 250, so why do they fine us 125 if, I don't know, some minimum of 120 to 240% of, I mean, yeah, it could be worse, right? The fine could be thousands of euro, although maybe, because I don't understand this bullshit here, maybe it will add up with 16 more of those stupid fines. And again, not in, I mean, international business in English, please. And then in general, there's procedures, right? And so here's more ongoing bullshit. I hope yeah, I mean, I'm not bullshitting you here. Q1 2015. This is so hilarious. Also, here is 2020. So I have no idea if multiple times they write here 2020. So this is somehow despite this lacking a date, I wonder if this is like a fine for the whole time, but is it the last, is it then over? This is also the problem, right? Not that I would be a lawyer, but the problem is also, if you just pay this might be seen as confirming that you did something wrong, and then they continue with this bullshit, right? And last but not least, so in general, the whole VAT bullshit, I mean, stop it. Stop really taxing the rich companies who evade all the taxes with licenses, right? How do they do this? Amazon, Starbucks, Apple and stuff. The local business, they negate all their profits with having to pay. Usually they do this with licenses for the logo, so Apple and Amazon, Starbucks and stuff, or in general franchise of logo and surrounding material stuff. So they simply invoice with licensing stuff all their profits away. And the small business, we need to pay everything. And at the end of the day, we waste so much time implementing this, paying everything. And at the end of the day, 6 years later, we get fined for it. And I'm not even. I don't think there's a payment missing because we paid it over the general tax authority of the German government there. So I can only imagine that this is maybe because we submitted this maybe 13 days late. But in my opinion, this 13 days late, this is peanuts, this is nothing. This is so much peanuts of nothing that you did not even contacted us 6 years. And you can't find us I mean, maybe by Italian law, maybe you can freaking find shit nearly 7 years later. And last but not least, this smells really like with this COVID, and I have understanding to the worldwide pandemic. Why do they fine us now? They are out of money, like all governments, and they have the work order of, hey, you all guys, go through all the old files and find all small bullshit in the archive and find those companies. So the small companies who already suffered in these times, and even we had certainly less sales, as you see, I need to make these funny YouTube videos here to earn a living. So on top of the small businesses who have already nearly 2 years of significantly decreased sales and stuff, now they get fined for random bullshit just because they now sit there and try to find money in some corner or what. Because this is honestly how this shit looks to me, to be honest. And last but not least, this is in general the concept. As I said, this is just the last drop on this mountain of bullshit I have on my desks. And this is also, people once asked me, should I start a business? Should I get freelance and stuff? Well, in general, yes. But I mean, the metal always has two sides, right? On one thing, I mean, first of all, you need to work hard. I mean, you see, I'm 20 years doing Linux shit, running a company, doing commercial software, and recently YouTube videos because I need to diversify because bullshit like that. And sure, first you need to work hard, you need to find customers, you need to create something, unless you do only consulting, and even then you need to prepare some PowerPoint slides. So you need to freaking work hard, you need to do all the administrative stuff, and at the end of the day, you need to have to deal with bullshit like this. Bureaucratic procedures, registering a company, look at Louis Rossmann, paying, I mean, I should actually shut up and pay this fine because this is even less than Louis Rossmann's apparently business license in New York City. And maybe I'm already lucky that we don't have a business license like that because Louis Rossmann's business license actually is freaking pretty expensive in New York City. Although maybe this is evaded with, maybe we pay more taxes than Louis Rossmann, maybe their business license is more expensive than, I don't know the precise tax details. But yeah, this is a dark side of running a business. And to be honest, I'm maybe you guessed it already, a little bit burnt out. Not only 15 years, right? Trying to build a company out of nothing, hard enough, especially without venture capital or without wanting venture capital, and then you have other stress. So you have to do all the work. You have to deal with. I said this before. So many customer emails are rude, are annoying, only complaining. And then on top of this, you have to deal with the government with such kind of bullshit. And seriously, this is nothing. This is causing, and this is also, last but not least, and this is so often with this live chat, sometimes I forget some points later, I watch it inside. Because the other thing is what I wanted to say. So the first thing I said earlier is this bureaucratic monsters, right? Governments, not only the EU, and I'm actually not hating the EU, I'm actually pro-European. I speak English the whole day. I'm often not even in Germany, as you already guessed probably. But this is even how the die-hardest Europeans and people of this world get really fed up with this shit. Although it's not even directly the EU, it's governments all over the place. And so first of all this bureaucratic shit, Louis Rossmann, business license, can't prolong, can't reach someone. And this is like, here, try to call those people. I mean, I have not tried because I already know. I mean, maybe I should, for that fun. But this bureaucracy, this is a monster that our civilization created, and this needs to be scaled back. And I'm not even neoliberal or whatever, but it needs to be reasonable. This is not reasonable anymore. It is not reasonable for each company in the world, unless you are a local small business. If you are a local small international business like ours, all the customs, all the VAT, all the rules, this is too much. This is taking a significant amount of your time, of everyone's company time, and then you need experts that you are hard to find, are highly expensive. And the last thing I wanted to say is that in general, governments should work for you. And I have nothing against government. Government is great. We need schools, we need roads, we need electricity and water and stuff, obviously clean water and so on. But in general, I really miss, like in this case, instead that they message us 6 years ago, a short message, and preferable by freaking email or something, hey, you reported this late. We would really appreciate if you reported earlier, or similar stuff with your local government, like Louis Rossmann's cases there with license to resell repaired or secondhand stuff, or business license. Similar to him in New York City, that you always get a fine. Why is it? Why is it? I understand that companies who reoccurrently, systematically, like Apple and Microsoft, Facebook, Starbucks, Amazon and stuff, the big companies, actually they get the preferred deals, right? Tax deals in Ireland and stuff. But especially the small companies, they need to be supported. They sometimes do not know the rules. I already know, in 15 years, learned so many rules than I ever wanted to know. You can say, yeah, this is the price of, you want to do business, you better learn all the business rules. Like, yeah, but there's also a limit of how much you can know and how much you need to know on top of your domain-specific knowledge. So that you need to know all the business and international laws and rules and latest and greatest. Each year they change these rules, right? And what I really miss is that the government proactively works for you. And I'm not even saying they should do the tax for me, but instead of sending a fine, that they send a nice letter. Hello, dear new business owner. We noticed, and although I have to say, once I got this from the German government, once in some hurry of submitting this taxes, actually once, I should actually praise the German government, although otherwise not the most happy with them otherwise. But once we actually got a letter like this, for 15 years we submitted taxes like this. And once we, because we stopped using some Windows programs, so now we have our own, obviously, right? Because we can program and the Windows software was too buggy and stuff. And so we, at the end of each reporting, we copy and paste this into this Elster system, right? The electronic text stuff. And actually, this is faster and works more reliable than the freaking Windows software. And once someone must have slipped the line, so otherwise we always reuse the last report that you can in the Elster web stuff. You can like reuse last form, and we just update the values to the current. And somehow, I don't even remember how this happened. Maybe it was actually due to that. Maybe it was the first months of this MOS stuff some 5 years ago or so. So anyway, we filled two numbers into the wrong line there, into the long row, and we really got a government from the tax authorities some week later. Hello, we found you reported these numbers in lines 94 and 74, and we guess you wanted to report them in the line on top of that, or like your other months, and we adjusted that for you. So yeah, thank you very much. So, but I would actually expect that in general, instead of a fine. And actually, I'm pro fine, right? Those companies who systematically evade taxes, like Apple and Starbucks and Amazon stuff, fine the heck out of them, but not for reporting, not small and medium-sized small and medium-sized companies, for maybe reporting something 13 days too late, or 3 days, or 11 days, or 6 years later. I rest my case. I cannot anymore. And this is this kind of stuff where I need to open a beach cafe. I need to open a YouTube channel because, again, each quarter in the meantime, also not like this is we have shit, but I have to say never. And this is also the crazy stuff, right? In 7 years, we not once have heard from any other EU member country that something would be wrong or too late or otherwise not matching with our EU VAT tax reports, right? So this is the first time in 6 years, and that is a penalty that is illegible, and we need some Italian expert for us to decipher. So, plus, maybe I actually wanted to mention, then if you have to deal with this shit, you have to fight this in Italy, right? So much to Italian jurisdiction and discussing that there with your Italian courts and lawyers. So, yeah, certainly paying 125 euro is peanuts comparing to fighting that. The only question I have is, first of all, this is bullshit, unfair, 6 years late. And ironically, I think they want this paid in 10 days. I think, if I understood this correctly, this is, I necessario transmettes entro 10, whatever, giorni. I Google translated this. So this sounds to me, del pagamento, my Italian is shit because I don't speak Italian. So nearly 6.5 years late, they want the fine paid in 10 days. I have no words. I mean, maybe I mail them of Posta Electronica. I have no idea what they want with Intriso di Posta Electronica there. Is it even, I hope that is not a person. No, I think hopefully that is not a, anyway, I blacked out lots of stuff. Don't mail them in our case. So the whole shit, and all in all, this is causing so much lost nerves, so much stress, so much sleepless nights. I mean, not even over the 125 euro, but if we get this now each quarter, I don't want to get this 16 times for 4 years of this shit. And in general, what other shit can come from other countries, and it's like, yeah, I wish I would have made this up. This is so out of, this is, in summary, this is so out of touch with reality, especially in this difficult times for everyone, finding bullshit like this. And it's not even that we have not paid this, right? We have reported everything on the cent accurate, and we have paid everything over the central German government in this mini one-stop system. And we did everything as accurate as we humanly could possibly in our small company, right? And once actually the German government audited us, we once had an audit relatively early, because in the early years with all the tax advisors, they did so much wrong. Eventually the German government audited us, and they found a difference of, I think, either 13 or 23 cents. And I asked this lady from the German government, and because I didn't know where it's coming from, right? So probably it is rounding differences. I guess must be rounding differences. But I asked this lady, and where do the 13 or 23 cents come from? It's like, yeah, I don't know, but this is the smallest difference we ever had. It's like, oh cool. Well, then it's fine. But yeah, and this is what I find unfair, right? The big mega corporations get special deals in Ireland, and the small businesses at the end of the day get fines like bullshit. They do everything, report and pay, and at the end of the day, this is what the hardworking and honest people get. Probably if I would not have done this, right? If we would have just like, yeah, YOLO, whatever, we don't care about this, like big mega corporations, we don't care about this tech shit. If we probably would have simply accounted all our sales in Germany, nobody would have freaking cared. It would have been easier for us. We probably would have saved some money, because most of the VAT rates in the EU are higher than Germany. We have 19, many have 20, 25%. And we would not have get this fine, and we wouldn't sit here now discussing this shit. But this is not a tax advice. We have not done it like that, and I would, of course, not advise you to do it like that. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let's quickly scroll over the comments. Ah, there's an Italian. This Italian feel for you. We have very screwed up system. CEO of small business work sometimes shows going on. It's crazy. And are you at least able to register with the state, use English, or is? Yeah, I got an Italian letter. I have no. Well, I never had to deal with them. We reported this centrally, as I mentioned. So yeah, I get an Italian letter, and I need to deal with Italian. So the Italian bureaucracy goes brr. Yeah, and again, I would also say nothing. I would not have said nothing. I would not have said anything. I would not have said nothing. If this penalty would have come in time, right? If this penalty would have come in Q2 or in any quarter of 2015, but we have nearly 2021 already. And I mean, it is also pointless, right? And by the way, maybe is this systematic that they just, as I said, either they need money now due to COVID, or they in general do this penalty so late that people don't find the shit after 5 years, right? I mean, who wants to go now into the archive and check what was even, although probably it's maybe it's a late payment fee. But 6.5 years later payment fee. I can't anymore. I can't. I wish I have had drugs, but I only have a drop of tea left. And yeah, and this is basically why do I show you this? I show you this to, first of all, people who want to open a business to have an understanding what to expect, and also I hope, like Louis Rossmann, to make the world a better place. Maybe some Italian who works in this watches my Linux videos eventually, or installs PS3 on his P3 and sees this video and brings eventually to their workplace some talk that this is complete bullshit what they do. And this is similar, otherwise it would be pointless to make this video if not like we as a society, and that is my point, we as a society, and not only in the EU, also worldwide, obviously with the US and everyone in international business, we need to get our act together. And by the way, this is real, this is completely lost time, right? Dealing, and my case is only the smallest, right? I'm pretty sure other people have even much more bullshit to deal with, especially if you ship physical goods internationally. And my point is, we, as I said, the government should help more often. And in this case, we need to reduce it. I'm, again, not even against paying taxes, but we pay taxes and get fined for it. And 6.5 years later, it's yeah. I hope I don't show any non-reducted number. Let's see, I understand most likely, Italian for various reasons. Can't happen in the US. Status of limitations, this sort of stuff. Every state authority speaks English, and even if you found out they have failed to remit VAT taxes, you usually can't be charged. Yeah, and again, as I said, if this would have been in time, right? But 6 years later, this smells so much to either systematically finding stuff, but I mean, even systematic. With common sense, I would not even expect that this can be systematically finding stuff late so people don't fight it anymore. To me, this smells, as sorry as I am to say this, to me this smells so much, we desperately need money, let's find old cold cases and let's exceptionally just find the shit out of each dead and cold paper we find somewhere in our archive. This is actually, honestly, although maybe this is normal in Italy, leave me in the comments below. Do you usually currently get this stuff? And yeah, I really wish. I mean, so maybe I should actually discuss. We have still people tuning in. So what I do, I'm changing a little bit. Of course, I could. 125 euro is nothing. I can't pay this out of our. We have a saying in Germany, paying this out of the Porto Kasse, the Porto cash pot there. Sure, I could pay this just out of the tip jar of YouTube AdSense, but the problem is I don't want to get 16 more. And again, as I said, asking a lawyer is already more expensive than the fine. Maybe I try writing them an email. I mean, I could ignore it. and see if they ever write us again, which could only make it worse. I mean, it's maybe a 50-50 chance of maybe they never bother us again, and maybe it makes it worse. I could try to write to this email and say, what do you even want? We paid everything. What is even going on and stuff? Or we could just pay it, which if this is a one-time thing, that is of course the cheapest, especially in our case of this. I mean, yeah, maybe we reported €40.66 in the first. I mean, this is about, and lastly, this is also probably what I wanted to mention. If our VAT would be 10,000 of euros, sure, although not 6 years late, but this is about probably a reported VAT of €41.66, for which we now 6.5 years later get a penalty of €125. I rest my case. And yeah, I probably need to build this YouTube channel because I am sick and tired of dealing. Also, maybe then we get copyright infringement and then I need to deal with even more bullshit. Same in Germany, no, Italy does there. Doesn't respond. If you don't respond after the midday nap, you get charged with the crime, I guess. Into economies. Yeah, someone writes. Italy. I don't want to fuel stereotypes, but as you already say, that you could also argue that in the country that is known for maybe inventing, or at least the mafia had a big influence in, from the country known for that. Not, although I've recently seen some TV documentary about kidnapped children in Italy some decades ago that made me actually not feel very well. So yeah, out of money like every government. Yeah, that's what I said. US government, 40% budget is military, and most something. What's going on there? Loose harassment license issues are uniquely better in New York. Everything else in the US is at least a bit better. But yeah, at least a bit better. Also, yeah, I heard also some other things, but that's why I'm pro-Europe, not pro-EU. Yeah, I mean, I said this, but I mean, the EU is not even that bad if it would not be for such bad politicians sitting there. And of course, I enjoy, free travel. That's a little bit freer than previously. And I mean, one currency is also not the worst thing and stuff. Sure, it makes some stuff easier. Also, unfortunately, the problem with the EU is, but this is not a problem with the EU, but now we digress a little bit. My impression is the problem with the EU is mostly the same as with many other governments, as there are too many bad politicians in there. Plus, especially in Germany, but maybe even in all European, would not be surprised how often the stuff works similar. So I would guess that each country, similar to how it happens in Germany, that all the all the politicians who have some scandals and need to resign, they are then somehow moved to the EU and somehow get their pension or stuff, which is a total disgrace, obviously. And not saying that all of them, there are of course some not scandalous politicians there, but on top, all the big major conservative parties, of course, don't make the most amazing politics there. So to summarize that, I would say as all governments, the EU would be better with better politicians, and if they are only the worst politicians, then obviously that is the worst. So Miko says, yeah, ridiculous that small business are bullied with large international companies are allowed to. Yeah, and this is exactly what I grieve here about. Plus, in my, and yeah, as a non-English native speaker, as I said, I would really appreciate international communication in English. You could make the case more people speak Spanish or so, I think, and certainly even more people speak Chinese. But I would agree, for the sake of simplicity in the Western world, at least excluding China, but I would actually ask them to be so polite to do international communications in English as well, to be as fair. And I'm not saying this as Englishman or American, I'm saying this as a German. I don't appreciate getting letters in Italian or Spanish. Pretty please, right? And is, in my opinion, in the 21st century, that is not too much asked. Paula says, email, no papers, so go to me. Job don't freeze, send bullshit, fines. Yeah, I mean, the problem with email, I would agree. I actually would prefer to get stuff by email. The problem is, of course, proof of delivery and actually receiving this between all the spam, right? I understand this was a registered first class, registered business letter, right? So someone from us had to personally go to the post office and sign there to pick up this fine. So thanks for that. Amazing stuff, right? And this is also annoying, right? In these terms with home office. So someone specifically had from the home office additionally waste time to go to the post office to pick up the shit. And instead of just directly a normal letter. And as I said, this is the first time we hear about this shit, right? So they spend the extra money for probably €5 or so sending this first class registered letter without ever sending us a single warning sign that in 6.5 years something was wrong. And a normal letter we would have received without having to go to the post office and show an ID card and stuff. So yeah, that's really for this video. As per usual, when I read the comments, it gets longer and longer. I mean, maybe I should actually Google that. It could still be a scam, although I think our text number that was somewhere in there is the correct one, which you also, is it our text? Actually, I need to check. Actually, you could. So, I mean, there is still a slim chance. I should actually double check. And this is in general also a pro tip without being a lawyer or an accountant, but a general probably pro tip that I can give. Double check the shit you get, especially the bullshit and fines you get. Check them for like the logo, the address details, the account number. Like if you Google the account number, I've not done that yet, I should do that. Is this account number really from the Italian government? Do you find it on hopefully Italian? Oh, but this is also 21st century, right? You need to internet search numbers in the hope that they are maybe listed on some government page, just to double check that it's not some phishing scam, right? Could actually, at the end of the day, I pay some smart Italian who have a night job of hobby of scamming random companies. Although this numbers, this could look in the ballpark of being correct, and probably it's not a scam. Yeah, that's it for this video. Let's see, Italy is one of the first companies, corrupt and stuff. All the comments, you see it yourself. To be fair, the language barriers also because how bad we are at teaching other languages. Yeah, although in Europe we are pretty good at teaching English. That is probably more a thing in other countries, like that. But plus, I would say this language barriers, if you find international companies, you should, especially small ones, and we're not talking Apple here, right, or Google. If you find, as I said in the beginning of the video, if you find or otherwise harass small, medium-sized international businesses, you should have at least the dignity to spend and have the procedures to send it in English. I think I have seen German government letters in English, so not that I would say that you always, but I know in Berlin at least, although that might be the case elsewhere, but at least in Germany you can often apply for stuff in at least English, often even Turkish, and sometimes where they have a lot of foreigners, even in, I have even seen Russian forms in Germany, if not, yeah. Frankly, someone has a business idea, there need to be some serious restriction shopping, damn light. Yeah, you can of course rewind that and watch it all. And what else do we have here? And to be fair, for me, and I have this since some years already, you might have guessed that I'm a little bit annoyed of business procedures and how much bullshit and time-wasting stuff. So as you may have guessed, this YouTube stuff is my hobby of, I mentioned this earlier in this video, of diversifying and doing like kind of being burned out with running a company, obviously with such bullshit, right? And this kind of stuff, for me, I some years ago, I already decided I now try this funny YouTube hobby to have some fun like Louis Rossmann and stuff, and Linus Tech Tips and stuff. And if like building a second line of income of pension or basic income, not yet there yet, but working on that. And because if this is escalating, right, I see it each year, it's getting more paperwork, more procedures. And for me, this is also eventually, when do you call it quit, right? When do you say, this costs too much of my nerves to do business like this, we just don't do it anymore, right? We just don't do end user software anymore. Or we don't do open source anymore because nobody wants to pay for it anyway. But in general, for example, with the German government, my patience is also coming to an end. And eventually, and this is also to the governments, right, if you're listening. So with all this bullshit happening in this case, but at the end of the day, also with tax procedures and other stuff in Germany, eventually, I also call it enough, right? And then I move. And then I also move to some nice lake in Ireland or something like that. Or some island that hopefully doesn't go underwater anytime soon. And eventually, with similar bullshit I have to deal with in Germany, eventually this is enough, right? People, business owners are humans, and like humans quit and get a new job. Businesses eventually also say, this is not profitable enough, this is costing me too much of my nerves. And then you don't have any tax payment anymore when the business closes and moves on to something maybe more fun and stuff. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this more than I enjoy this shit. I need to continue deciphering that. Leave in the comments below as usual. If you watch this later, leave in the comments below what you think about that, about whatever you want to share, EU, US, international business fines, penalties. And by the way, I actually thought I get a speed ticket. Although previous video, right, I usually hypermile and stuff, but actually I was prepared to get, because when someone said, we have here some registered letter from Italy, I said, oh, did they speed measurement me? Like usually I hypermile, and I mean, yes, I hypermile sometimes like 10 km/h too fast, still engine braking to some construction zone or so on. So I was like, dude, did they speed measure me with 98 in a construction zone or what? Which, fun fact once, yes. My last speed ticket 5 years ago was 6 km/h too fast in a construction zone because I was rolling 86 in a construction zone, engine braking. So like, yeah. But this, I would have paid, actually, I would have preferred to take a speed ticket. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. So as usual, most people tuning in also, you can rewind and watch all of it. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Have a better day than us, and hope to see you.